Hello and welcome in to another edition of The Final Drive here on DMVSTREAM.com. I'm Jeremy Huber, your host for these proceedings. Of course, another week of high school football in the District, Maryland, and Virginia area. Of course, the private schools got underway last week. Same for the Virginia schools, DC schools as well. Tonight it was the Maryland schools' chance to go ahead and get things underway. And of course, as luck would have it, bad luck would have it, Mother Nature wreaking some havoc with some of the games up in the Maryland area, also a few in the Loudoun County area. So obviously should be an interesting one as we move along here on the final drive. Some games, most of the games are done. We'll go ahead and get you up to date on the scores of those as we move along. As again, most things getting done, though, again, you usually would have most everything done if not for the weather delays tonight. Want to let you know, of course, this is the final drive with Jeremy Huber here on DMVStream.com. If you want to go ahead and get at us, you can do it on Twitter. Tweet us at DMVStream, hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. That's DMVStream, hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. Let's go ahead and get into it in just 1 second. I believe actually we're going to have a guest joining us in just a few seconds, and we'll go ahead and get that underway. I believe joining us on the line right now will be the head coach of the Damascus Swarming Hornets. Had a big win tonight as they knocked off Quince Orchard by a big-time score. I believe we're joined on the phone right now by the head coach of the Damascus Swarming Hornets, Eric Wallich. Eric, coach, is that you?
It's me. How you doing?
I'm doing great, but I'm sure I'm not doing nearly as good as you are right now. Congratulations on the big win.
Thank you very much. It feels good.
Yeah, obviously tonight, it's almost becoming, I'm sure not to you and not to your football players, but it's almost becoming a broken record when it talk about the guy in your backfield, Jake Funk. Another fantastic performance by him tonight against what's a very good Quince Orchard defense. By my numbers, 257 on the ground and 4 touchdowns. Talk about his performance.
Yeah, a couple people say it was like 270 something, but his performance was amazing. He is such a workhorse. He's got a great combination of power and speed and vision, and we try to do everything we can to get the ball in his hands and give him as much as he can handle. Because he's also playing a lot on defense and even some special teams. So it's a lot to ask of somebody.
Is there any time in your head you're thinking, this guy, he's our guy? It's when everything kind of comes off of. Do you ever find yourself having to weigh, hey, how much can I put him out here before I just wear him out?
Oh, all the time. All the time. I mean, that's what we meet a lot about, and what can he handle, and what a team's going to try to do to stop him, and how can we get other players involved, and combating that, and definitely, we know he can't carry it every play, and we got to work on more balance anyways.
Now, anytime any running back is only as good as his offensive line, and obviously your guys out there opening some holes today. Talk a little bit about that offensive line and what they were able to do against a good Quince Orchard defense.
Yeah, I mean, our offensive line is definitely one of the strengths of our team and our defensive line, and they, as good as QO's defensive line is, we knew we had a really tough task, and I feel like they answered the bell. I mean, you're not going to get a positive play every time, but they had a lot more positives than negatives, and I think we got QO tired a little bit, and then we were able to capitalize on that.
Now, obviously, in this contest, you only give up 17 points to a team that's ranked pretty highly in the area. Talk about what your defense was able to do in this matchup tonight, kind of holding the Cougars in check.
Yeah, the defense has kind of been the strength of our team the last 2 years, and tonight was no different. I think we did really hold them in check. We let up a couple big plays happen. We got a young secondary that is getting better each week, but the defense played great, and our defensive line is as good as anybody's that's out there too. And, we got a player, Jake Bradshaw, doesn't get as much publicity as Jake Funk, but he's as good as anybody that's out there too.
Yeah, obviously both Jakes really getting it done for you guys. I guess this is a little bit off the beaten path, but they're playing so well. Either those guys getting good looks or signing anywhere or looking at the college level to play on the next level.
Yeah, absolutely. They both are really, really academic kids. I think Jake Bradshaw, I don't think he's ever had a B in his life. So he's looking really hard at all the Ivy schools, and Jake Funk's right behind him with a really high GPA. So both of those kids have a lot of open doors for them. And they both want to play in college and play at a school that's a good school. I know Jake Funk wants to go, to a BCS type program, but he has a lot of the good academic schools and all the service academies, right after him. And they definitely want to further their career in football and college.
And obviously doing some good things and attracting some folks. Obviously, your team attracting some attention with this win tonight. I know that I'm sure, and I'm talking to you last year, you consider your program one of the best in Maryland as it's been shown. Is there ever a point where you even feel the kids, or you even go to the chip on the shoulder, hey, even though we're 3A, people don't think we're as good? Or is it always just, hey, you know what, we're going to line up and play a football game and we'll see how the chips fall?
Sometimes we may feel disrespected. The kids might be on message boards and things like that, but we try to preach not to worry about no matter who we're playing, that we going to show up every week and play to our best ability. And, the level of competition shouldn't be dictated by your opponent. And we know at Damascus we can beat anybody if we show up to play our game. And it's just a matter of the chips falling that way on a given night.
Yeah, and obviously moving forward for you guys, it's going to be another season looking to get back to that state title game, this time to get the win. I guess, so one quick question for you. How do you feel? Does this kind of send a message or show how you guys stack up when it comes to Maryland?
Well, I guess only time will tell. I mean, you never know how good either of these teams are going to be going forward, but I guess at this point, we would have to be considered a legitimate team. And, we always feel at Damascus that we have a chance to go to the state championship. And this is just one step in that direction.
One last one for you, Coach. I've asked this to some other coaches who had really those tough opening games, and I'll ask it to you. In this contest where you have another great program like Quince Orchard, did you feel that your kids kind of got the idea coming in, hey, we've got to make sure that our summer workouts are top-notch because we don't have any room for error in this first game. We've got to be playing our A game if we want to come out of here with a win?
No question. I mean, sometimes you have a game that you expect to win a lot easier than others, and, you have a chance to kind of knock the rust off, and even little things like communication, calling plays. It's so loud at Damascus at a big game. It's hard to, prepare for that. And the kids, every workout, you always can dangle that in front of them that, how hard QO is working, and, the Franklin loss in the state championship, how close we got. It wasn't that hard to keep them motivated. And honestly, we have some really great kids. And Jake Funk is not only is he a great player, but he's probably the best leader that I've ever coached. And, when your best player is also the hardest worker, it really rubs off on everybody.
Well, I'm sure Mr. Funk and yourself going to try and get this Swarming Hornets team to a state championship when it comes later on. But a good first step tonight with a nice win over Quince Orchard. Coach Eric Wallich, thanks so much for joining us on the show.
Thank you.
And, of course, that a top 10 battle in tonight's matchup. Eric Wallish's team, the Swarming Hornets of Damascus, ranked number 6 in the area with a big win over Quince Orchard, 39-17 tonight. A very, very good matchup as it was the Swarming Hornets going ahead and getting the win. Let's go ahead and run you down real quick. Didn't get a chance to get into it before our coach called in. Of course, we love hearing from the coaches here on the final drive here on DMVSTREAM.com. But again, a very an interesting day when it came to the weather. Again, kind of wreaking some havoc on some games. That game had a delay in it where a good point of it Damascus had gone ahead and gotten a lead in that one, and they held it after the break with the 39-17 win. Of course, top of the poll hadn't changed since last week. This is the All-Met Sports poll. Number 1, DeMatha, still number 1. Nothing else changed. The teams that lost last week didn't fall out, but the Stags will be on the road this time against the Florida team, American Heritage. That'll be a 7 p.m. start tomorrow. Also, it'll be number 2 team in the area, Good Counsel, after their season opening blowout of Wilson. They take a loss tonight, falling to Gilman 36-29 in overtime. Interesting thing about this one was the fact that Good Counsel actually trailed 22-0 at the half before storming back, sent it to overtime on a desperation touchdown pass from about 40 yards out. Then Gilman ends up getting the win, got the Falcons in a 4th and long in the overtime scenario, and we're not able to go ahead and get the win there. They fall just short, 36-29 against Gilman, one of the top-ranked teams, along with Good Counsel in Maryland. It was Wise with a big win tonight. They knocked off number 3 Douglas 19-6 as Wise gets the win. Kind of a bounce back after was a maybe not typical year for Wise last year, but they're able to go ahead and upset Douglas 19-6. Wise unranked, but again, they're the 4A team. Douglas, the 2A team, coming off their undefeated season last year, but the Pumas able to knock off Douglas 19-6. Number 4 Northwest, nice win tonight. They beat Gaithersburg 27-0. It was on Thursday night. Number 5 Westfield beat Washington Lee 30-10. Tavon Chapman Green 98 yards rushing and a touchdown. Tyler Scanlon 2 touchdown passes for the Bulldogs in that one. The one we told you about just seconds ago, talked to their head coach Eric Wallich. Number 6 Damascus with a nice win over number 10 Quince Orchard 39-17 as they go ahead and get the win. Jake Funk, the running back, the do everything running back for the Swarming Hornets, 257 yards and 4 touchdowns. So coach told you it might have been a little closer to 270. Number 7 Bullis on the road. They're at Mount St. Joseph's on Saturday, a 1 p.m. start. Number 8 St. John's hosts Spalding tomorrow in a 2 p.m. start. One of our top 20 games not in the books yet, as it's number 9 Hilton with a lead on Osborne 35-13. Last report we had on that one, it was in the 4th quarter. Chris Samuels, of course, the head coach of the Eagles, looking for his first win. Hilton looking to bounce back after their surprising rout at the hands of Battlefield last week. Number 11 Lake Braddock kicking out their season with style. They beat Lee 69-0. On it was tonight, number 12 Old Mill with a 63-0 win over Severna Park. Number 13 Stonebridge ran out early and coasted home to a 42-6 win over their former conference opponent McLean. Number 14 South County beats number 19 Briar Woods 47-28. The Stallions win their opener while the Falcons dropped to 0-2 on the year. Of course, both losses coming to teams ranked in the All-Met Sports Top 20. Number 15, Riverdale Baptist bounces back. They beat Eleanor Roosevelt 38-16. Of course, Baptist lost to McNamara. Interesting note on McNamara tonight. We'll get to that in just a bit. Number 16, Duval taking on C.H. Flowers tomorrow. Number 17, Centerville with maybe a tougher than anticipated matchup against Annandale, but the Wildcats beat the Adams by a count of 27-17. Number 18, Tuscarora over Loudoun County, 27-0. That one was called early due to lightning. And number 20, H.D. Woodson upset by St. Mary's Riken, 49-21. That one could have been a case there of maybe one team kind of coming down from a high, one team coming off what looked like a bit of a bad loss, at least from the score. St. Mary's Riken falling to Spalding last week, while H.D. Woodson went over the mountain and beat Martinsburg, the perennial West Virginia state champion at their highest classification. But Woodson falls tonight 49-21 to St. Mary's Riken. Well, we're just underway here on the final drive here on DMVSTREAM.com. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. We'll be right back with more. Stay tuned. It's all coming up after this here on the final drive. Looking for some of the best barbecue in the area? Well, then come on down to Monk's. Monk's Barbecue has all your favorites. Delicious pulled pork, tender, moist brisket, and dry rubbed ribs that just fall off the bone. as well as specialty items like pulled chicken, pastrami, and Kansas City burnt ends. Add in delicious sides like Monk's Special Baked Beans, smoked Gouda mac and cheese, vinegar coleslaw, and many more, and you can't get any better. That's Monk's Barbecue in the heart of Loudoun County, online at monksq.com. That's monks and the letter Q.com. And go to their Facebook page to find out more about their live music and drinks.
DMVSTREAM.com produces live broadcasts for professional, semi-pro, and amateur sporting events, as well as colleges, universities, high schools, AAU, and youth tournaments in the Mid-Atlantic. With a client list that includes ESPN, The Washington Post, Monumental Sports Network, CBS.com, USAFootball.com, USLacrosse.org, NCAA.com, the National Federation of High School Sports, and Georgetown University, among others, Synthesis Multimedia has emerged as the Mid-Atlantic's top provider of sports multimedia. Contact us today to learn more about streaming your events live.
Are you a fan of high school sports? Does high school sports attract the type of customers you want for your business? If so, then consider advertising here on The Final Drive. The Final Drive on DMVStream.com is a weekly show dedicated to high school football in the District, Maryland, and Virginia. We update scores and talk to the movers and shakers from Friday night's top games, and we preview the big matchups from Saturday's action. So consider being a part of The Final Drive. For more information about advertising on The Final Drive, contact Jeremy Huber at jrh0001@gmail.com. That's jrh0001@gmail.com. Montgomery Shade and Awning is a third-generation family business that sells and installs shade systems utilizing awnings and canopies. They specialize in both commercial and residential awnings and have been serving Northern Virginia since 1975. So check out what Rob, Lewis, Brian, and Tom can do for you. Montgomery Shade and Awning. Call 1-800-300-1941 or find them online at montgomeryawning.com. And welcome back into The Final Drive here on DMVStream.com. And again, the good guests don't stop. Another big one tonight. That one was over in PG County as we saw Wise open up their brand new field, new turf field, with a win over Douglas, the number 3 ranked team in the area, coming off their 2A state championship. Wise gets the win. We're joined on the phone right now by the head coach of the Wise Pumas, DeLawn Parrish. Coach Parrish, congratulations on the huge win tonight.
Thank you so much.
Again, coming into this game, and obviously, you know, we know the story, local teams there. You guys had such momentum when it came in. It's all the stories about your new field. The guys so psyched up about it, a huge opponent. How'd you feel about your team's performance tonight?
Well, you know, I think they did pretty well. We left some points out there on the board. But, you know, overall, I thought it was a dominating performance. You know, the battle for 301, we felt like we the kings of 301, the kings over Marlboro. But we was just happy we was able to get away with a W against a very good other team.
Talk about that tonight. Obviously, a bit of a low-scoring game, 19-6. But who are some of the guys really that shone for your squad tonight?
I mean, typical, you know, Miles, Wolfo, Damon Hayes did tremendous well. Darnell Lowry, you know, he transferred in. He did real well. We had a balanced attack all over the field. Our quarterback, Jabari Dawes, he threw 2 touchdowns. He had 2 touchdown drops. He scrambled. You know, he controlled the offense. You know, no huddle. I was proud of the whole defense performance. You know, they had one big play, and proud of that play. It was 22 yards of total offense. So, you know, I thought it was a team effort.
Most definitely tonight with a win like that, it's got to be a team effort. I had seen that you were kind of flipping the offense around a little bit, going with that up-tempo, some of the no-huddle stuff. How did you feel that kind of worked for you guys tonight, your first matchup of the year?
I thought it did well considering, you know, Douglas had a lot of young men that went both ways. They had about 7 or 8 of them like Ironmen out there. You know, we was fortunate enough that we don't have to have anybody on our offensive line go both ways. I think as the game wore down, I thought we was able to wear them down a little bit.
DeLawn Parrish, the head coach of the Wise Pumas, joining us tonight. His team with a big win tonight, knocking off Douglas, win at 19-6 and ending their 14-game winning streak. You look at this contest tonight, Coach, and I was just talking to Eric Wallich, the head coach of Damascus. They were a 3A team. They beat Quince Orchard tonight. And there's always that kind of playing up. Well, they think lesser of us because we're the smaller classification. It was a bit flip for you guys because you're the bigger school, but in a sense, it seemed like maybe people may have underestimated what you guys could bring to the table. Did you feel your kids kind of had a little bit of that edge, wanting to prove exactly how good of a squad they really are?
Absolutely. I think the last couple of years, our school, this is our 10th year in existence, been to the playoffs 8 straight years. I think people kind of look down on it because they're so used to us going to the state title game, things of that nature. And Douglas has done the same thing. But for whatever reason, he looked down on our program this year. And we kind of felt disrespected that how can we make the playoffs 8 straight years, have all this talent, and not be ranked. So, we had a little chip on our shoulder, the kids, coaches included. We were just able to go out there and perform good tonight.
And obviously they did. Now, I quickly referenced it, the new field. And again, it seems like that's just been such a boon to your program. Everyone's so excited about it. Talk a little bit about that, about the new turf field there, maybe some of the benefits that may have brought in your program.
Well, the turf field, the light, the excitement, Friday night, catching up with the rest of the state, playing like that. I think we had about 3,000 or 4,000 people out there tonight. We see 2 good football teams. The field conditions was great. The field can hold up. And it prepares you actually, the Prince George's County team makes it to the state finals. That's like our first time playing at night under the lights. And Friday night before 18. Something we got to get used to. So it's fortunate now that some of us have the opportunity to play under the lights. And even our opponents, even if they make it out, they have a chance to play under the lights. So, we're looking forward to a good year in the county, continue to grow, get turf and lights. Hopefully everybody has a great field play.
And obviously that was a very good situation tonight. One last one before we let you go, Coach Parrish. Looking at, you mentioned your dynamic duo at the cornerback spot, Miles Woolfolk and Damon Hayes. Hayes going to Rutgers, Woolfolk going to Virginia Tech. Talk about them and what they allow your defense to be able to do because of their great skill sets.
Well, we was always good against the run. Playing them out there on the edge, we can play man, we can let them cut loose. Both of them had an interception tonight. Damon caught a touchdown. There's a lot of different things you can add dimensions to your defense now. But those two, you just put them on the corner, lock down. It's always good at stopping the run. And now, in the pass game, it's harder for people to throw. So we look forward to a great year for both of them. I hope we continue to ride this momentum.
And momentum you have gotten with this great early season win. Your Wise Pumas knocking off Douglas tonight, 19-6. Head coach DeLawn Parrish, congratulations on the big win.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me.
Most definitely, Coach. And again, another big win out there, and you see how excited these coaches are and how well their kids played in the matchups tonight. 2 rivalry-type games, and we're already talking to Coach Wallich from Damascus and Coach Parrish from the Wise Pumas, both getting wins tonight. So glad they could both join us on the show. And again, kind of getting their teams down the road for what should be some pretty good campaigns when you talk about getting early season wins like this. And that's what they were able to do tonight. And I think both coaches have to be so overjoyed that their squads were able to go out and get these wins. Let's go ahead and run through some more scores before we get you to another break. Remember, you're listening to The Final Drive with yours truly, Jeremy Huber, here on DMVSTREAM.com. If you want to get at us, do it on Twitter. Tweet us at DMVStream, hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. That's DMVStream, hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. We ran through your top 20 earlier on. Now we're going to go ahead and go through the rest of your scores tonight. St. Peter's winner, St. Peter's, New Jersey, beating Avalon, the local school, in that one. St. Peter's winning 28-14. Trevon Diggs held to 6 catches, 35 yards, and a touchdown for Avalon. Elsewhere, it was Bishop Ireton with a season-opening win as they beat Nansemond and Suffolk 27-6. Georgetown Prep big over Paul VI, 37-0. Surprising one, we talked about it earlier. We referred to it just a few seconds ago. McNamara coming off that big win over Riverdale Baptist last week. The Mustangs couldn't follow it up. They go down to Woodbury Forest in Central Virginia and get beat 37-18. Real good battle of quarterbacks of that one in that contest. And again, it went to Woodbury Forest's way as they get the win 37-18 over the Mustangs. Pilati with a win over Sidwell Friends 40-6. St. Christopher's beats St. Stephen's St. Agnes 23-3. Cesar Chavez over National Collegiate 26-24. Blue over Bell 38-18 as Blue starts the season off 2-0. Friendship Collegiate with a win over Anacostia 36-6. Landon big over High Point 42-6. Elsewhere, Gonzaga with a big win. They knocked off McKinley in that battle of North Capitol Street 58-0. Elsewhere, one was in a delay. Severn School was trailing Liberty of Maryland 14-7. That one may have gotten over. We'll go ahead and update on that. Also, another one of these crossover out-of-state games. John Champ of Loudoun County moves to 2-0. They beat Spring Mills of West Virginia 22-0. Wilson bounces back from their loss to Good Counsel last week, beating Yorktown 51-22. Let's get you over to just Maryland scores. As, of course, Meade, their head coach, leaving this year, heading over to Mount St. Joe's, and the Mustangs taking one on the chin tonight. They fall to Annapolis 42-12. Marriott's Ridge went over Appleton 6-0. Sherwood beats Bethesda Chevy Chase 47-6. Friendly knocks off Bladensburg 31-12. Calvert over Northern 20-7. Chesapeake over Lansdowne 38-0. Clarksburg opens their season with a win over Churchill 27-8. Northeast over Crossland 21-0. Richard Montgomery over Einstein 34-7. Poly beats Fairmont Heights 40-6. Arundel big over Glen Burnie 57-22. Oakland Mills knocks off Glenelg 40-27. Hammond big over Centennial 40-0. Elsewhere, Chopticon with a 53-0 win over La Plata. That one highlighted at the end by a streaker coming across the field. Lackey beat Leonardtown 18-6. Elsewhere, it was Great Mills over McDonough 13-7. Northwestern big over North County 39-0. Blair routs Northwood 48-3. Paint Branch opens their campaign with a 46-7 win over Whitman. Patuxent over Huntingtown 39-6. Seneca Valley rolls over Poolsville 41-13. Howard opens the season with a win over Reservoir 14-6. It was South River over Broadneck and a bit of an upset 20-17. Springbrook beats Blake 30-22. North Point over Thomas Stone 9-6. A big smack battle there. Both those teams expected to do some good things in Southern Maryland. We'll go ahead and catch up with the head coach of the North Point Eagles, Tom Petre, coming up in just a bit. But North Point, the winner over Thomas Stone in that local Waldorf battle, 9-6. Watkins Mill, they lead Frederick 26-0 at the half. That one's going to be concluded in the at 1 p.m. tomorrow. They'll finish that one off. That'll be at Frederick. Westlake over St. Charles 12-7. Bowie big over Westminster 54-21. It was Wildlake over River Hill 33-16. Let's flip it over to Virginia right now. Some scores missing in this one. We'll keep you up to date throughout the night when they come in. Brentsville, a winner over William Monroe. Of course, Brentsville's had some struggles over the years, but they get a win 12-9 over William Monroe in overtime. Broad Run with an impressive win tonight. They beat Wakefield 40-6. Wakefield really a favorite in their conference. Broad Run kind of not. Remember, Broad Run in the Patriot District, also known as Conference 14, and it includes them, also Stonebridge, Briarwoods, and Tuscarora, also Potomac Falls in that one. But really, most people, obviously from the poll, Broad Run not ranked. They were of Stonebridge, Briarwoods, and Tuscarora. They were the ones who were not ranked, but the Spartans with a nice win over Wakefield tonight on the road, 40-6. Elsewhere, it was the aforementioned Potomac Falls getting a 7-6 win over crosstown rival Dominion. Chantilly over W.T. Woodson tonight, 31-14. Heritage moves their record to 2-0 as they beat Fauquier 21-6. Woodgrove bounces back from their season-opening loss as they beat Liberty 35-7. Mountain View over Osborne Park 49-14. James Wood beats Parkview 32-20. Forest Park big over Patriot 54-6. Elsewhere, it was Freedom of Woodbridge over Potomac of Virginia 27-20. West Springfield wins a thriller against Robinson 35-28. Peter Musket, the quarterback for the Spartans, 4 touchdown passes and a touchdown run. That one was the game winner, ran untouched on the quarterback keeper for 50-some yards with just 1:03 left on the clock. So an exciting win for West Springfield at home against a usually quality Robinson team. Elsewhere, it was South Lakes over Marshall 52-8. TC Williams with a big win over Jefferson 65-0. Turner Ashby beats Riverside of Loudoun County 33-0. That one was called at the half due to lightning. Turner Ashby went back across the mountain with a win. Woodbridge, a winner big tonight. They beat Stafford 43-6. Also, some games played last night. Hayfield a winner over Edison 21-0 in Virginia action. Miles Ross in the big game for him for the Hawks. 214 on the ground with 2 touchdowns, his 9th consecutive 100-yard game. Fairfax beats Herndon 22-0. It was West Potomac over Langley 41-28. 543 yards of offense for the Wolverines in that one. West Potomac's Mark Ellis, their quarterback, 22 of 29 for 374 and 3 touchdowns. Receiver C.J. Birch, 14 receptions and for 206 yards for West Potomac. Also last night, George Mason beats Rappahannock County 55-0. Hunter Suick with a 216-yard game on the ground for the Mustangs. Falls Church a winner last night, 49-6 over Eastern. Anthony Crutchfield, he had 116 on the ground and 2 touchdowns for the Jaguars. Also, Connor Stevens, he had 4 receptions for 131 and a touchdown for the Jags. We'll coach up with their head coach, Said Aziz, later on in the show as well, talking about his team's big win yesterday and, again, some of the other things going on with the Falls Church Jaguars. But, again, a lot of big action tonight. I've already talked to 2 great coaches tonight. Eric Wallich of the Damascus Swarming Hornets, their big win over Quince Orchard tonight. Also, DeLawn Parrish, his Wise Pumas win over Douglas tonight. Really 2 proud coaches we've already heard from tonight. Was off to a great show here on the Final Drive. Remember, if you want to go ahead and get in touch with us, do it. Tweet us at DMVStream, hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. Again, that is tweet us at DMVStream, hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. I'm Jeremy Huber. This is the Final Drive. Come right back. We'll have more right after this. Looking for some of the best barbecue in the area? Well, then come on down to Monk's. Monk's Barbecue has all your favorites. Delicious pulled pork, tender, moist brisket, and dry rubbed ribs that just fall off the bone, as well as specialty items like pulled chicken, pastrami, and Kansas City burnt ends. Add in delicious sides like Monk's Special Baked Beans, smoked Gouda mac and cheese, vinegar coleslaw, and many more, and you can't get any better. That's Monk's Barbecue in the heart of Loudoun County, online at monksq.com. That's monks and the letter Q.com. And go to their Facebook page to find out more about their live music and drinks.
DMVSTREAM.com produces live broadcasts for professional, semi-pro, and amateur sporting events, as well as colleges, universities, high schools, AAU, and youth tournaments in the Mid-Atlantic. With a client list that includes ESPN, The Washington Post, Monumental Sports Network, CBS.com, USAFootball.com, USLacrosse.org, NCAA.com, the National Federation of High School Sports, and Georgetown University, among others, Synthesis Multimedia has emerged as the Mid-Atlantic's top provider of sports multimedia. Contact us today to learn more about streaming your events live.
Are you a fan of high school sports? Does high school sports attract the type of customers you want for your business? If so, then consider advertising here on The Final Drive. The Final Drive on DMVStream.com is a weekly show dedicated to high school football in the District, Maryland, and Virginia. We update scores and talk to the movers and shakers from Friday night's top games, and we preview the big matchups from Saturday's action. So consider being a part of the Final Drive. For more information about advertising on the Final Drive, contact Jeremy Huber at jrh0001@gmail.com. That's jrh0001@gmail.com. Montgomery Shade and Awning is a third-generation family business that sells and installs shade systems utilizing awnings and canopies. They specialize in both commercial and residential awnings and have been serving Northern Virginia since 1975. So check out what Rob, Lewis, Brian, and Tom can do for you. Montgomery Shade and Awning. Call 1-800-300-1941 or find them online at montgomeryawning.com. And welcome back into the Final Drive here on DMVSTREAM.com. I'm Jeremy Huber. Thanks again to our wonderful sponsor to help you bring this show to you every single week. We're here every week at 10:30 Eastern Time talking about high school football in the district, Maryland and Virginia. I've already been joined by head coach DeLawn Parrish of the Wise Pumas. His team knocking off Douglas tonight, 19-6, ending Douglas's 14-game winning streak after their undefeated season last year that led to a state championship. Also, Eric Wallich, the head coach of the Damascus Swarming Hornets, talked to him as well tonight after his team's win over Quince Orchard. Swarming Hornets came into that one 6th in the All-Met poll. Quince Orchard, number 10 in the All-Met poll. Really our only top 10 matchup in the poll this week. I believe our first of the year. And this one won pretty emphatically by Damascus by a count of 39-17. Jake Funk, again, the star, 257 on the ground and 4 touchdowns. Quickly want to go ahead and run down some action for tomorrow. We already mentioned a couple games tomorrow of note, but let's start it off at the top in case you're going out there, want to check out a game tomorrow. We've got a few of them. Potomac's going action, a noon start there at Randolph-Macon. Wheaton and Magruder, a 12 o'clock start tomorrow. Bullis, of course, coming into that one ranked 7th in the area. They'll take on Mount St. Joe's, maybe a resurgent Mount St. Joe's team. That one is at 1. Carroll and Surrattsville face off also at 1 Eastern. Gwynn Park and Suitland, a 2 o'clock kickoff. Parkdale and Central also at 2. Same for Potomac of Maryland and Oxon Hill. St. John's comes in ranked number 8. They'll take on Spalding in what should be a nice matchup. Coolidge and Forestville also a 2 o'clock kick. Kip and Seed, they'll go ahead and face off at 3. Then 2 big ones in the 7 o'clock hour, one local, one not so much. It'll be Duval, the favorite in Prince George's County in 4A. They'll go ahead and take on C.H. Flowers, coached by their new head coach, Cato June, the former Michigan and NFL standout. Of course, also was the coach at Anacostia just a bit ago, left for C.H. Flowers. Should be a big debut for him. Also at 7 o'clock tomorrow, went on the road as DeMatha will take on American Heritage. That one, again, a 7 o'clock start. It will be down in Florida, though, as the Stags look to follow up what was a very, very impressive win as they were able to go ahead and knock off Miami Central last week. Miami Central ranked by a lot of places as one of the top 2 teams in the nation. Of course, plenty of other games as well to go ahead and look at. Talked about the top 10. Run that down for you real quick. Of course, number 2, Good Counsel, falling to Gilman 36-29 in overtime. We talked about Wise's big win over number 3, Douglas. Number 4, Northwest over Gaithersburg 27-0. On Thursday, number 5, Westfield beat Washington Lee 30-10. Number 6, Damascus over Quince Orchard 39-10. Number 7, Bullis, of course, on the road tomorrow at St. Joe's. St. John's at home against Spalding tomorrow. Also, number 9, Hilton. Last we had heard they were up on Osborne by a count of 35-13. That one was late in the matchup as the Bulldogs were looking to go ahead and rebound from what was a tough loss last week against Battlefield. Bulldogs do rebound from that as they get a 35-13 win over the Osborne Eagles, coached by Chris Samuels. Coach Samuels down to 0-2 so far on the season. Joining us now, the head coach of the victorious North Point Eagles, Tom Petre. His team knocking off Thomas Stone tonight in a tight one, 9-6, in a big smack battle over in the Waldorf area. Coach, first off, congratulations on the win.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Obviously, today your defense kind of had to be there for you against what can be a tough attack from Thomas Stone, an option team. How are you guys able to go ahead and play like that and just allow 6 points?
Well, like anytime you play option football, it's buying into trusting your training. It's assignment football, and the guy we talked all week about it, and it's do your job, trust the guy next to you that he's going to do his job, and know that the guy behind you is going to do his job. And if you can do that for a full 48 minutes, you have a chance to be successful and come out on the winning side.
Now, you look at this game tonight, and you'd have to think a little bit at some point, maybe the kids think to themselves, hey, man, are we ever going to get a score? I was looking at a stat that was put out by the Washington Post, a great one. Your quarterback, JaMychal James, had a 93-yard touchdown run in the first half. By the end of the half, you guys had 91 total yards. So, obviously, yardage was tough to come by. How'd you keep the confidence of the guys up and say, hey, we're in this thing. We just got to keep doing what we're doing?
Yeah, it's a battle up front. We told the guys was one of our, keys to victory prior to the game is just continue to lay it on. You might make mistakes along the way, but it's, continue to stick together and keep driving forward 1 foot at a time. And, for the young kid, it was his first varsity start. And JaMychal, he's, great young kid. And to get that first score early was big for him and, moved his confidence forward throughout the rest of the game.
Was there ever a worry? I know last year when you faced off with Thomas Stone, you guys only scored 7 points in a win by them. Was there ever a worry on your point to say, hey, my guys might be thinking, here we go again, or just look in their eyes and say, hey, we're okay?
Well, the flip side of it is we graduated 32 from last year, so we're pretty young this year, coming out. So, we had some guys that were some role players for us last year that were able to step into it this year. And they tasted that defeat last year, and going back into it this year, they knew they didn't want to go back after, have what happened to us last year. So I don't think it crossed their mind. At the end of the day, we got a good group of kids that really trust their training, and they believe in themselves and they believe in each other. So I think they hung on throughout most, the full 48 minutes, and we were able to pull out a successful win.
Here with head coach Tom Petre of the North Point Eagles, knocked off Thomas Stone tonight 9-6 in a tough Maryland matchup. You talked about losing those 32 seniors, Coach. How do you go about replacing that, especially in a place like you have, a program that's had some success? You're another favorite this year to be pretty successful. How do you go about that daunting task of replacing that many guys?
It's growth and development in your program as a whole. We quality coach at the lower level, and you get the guys ready to play and, allow them to be confident when it's their time to step up. We always tell them it's a program based off competition. It's not a next man up program. So compete. Doesn't matter what grade level you're in. If you're going to come out and compete for your rep, you're going to earn your rep. And then that's really our goals moving forward. Is just, we talk about competition all the time.
Coach, looking at this game today, obviously a quality opponent in Thomas Stone, a local opponent as well. Do you think that helped at all, facing off, getting the kids ready in week one as opposed to, say, maybe playing a lesser program? Did you feel you had the focus of the guys as they went through spring camp or summer camp, knowing who was coming up in week one?
Yeah, I think it's good getting the test out of the gate for sure. Every game we have down here at SMAC's got a good brand of football down here. It's a tough brand of football, and it's physical week in, week out. And we know and our players know that Coach Friel is always going to put together a great team over at Thomas Stone. It's a very well-coached team on both sides of the ball, and they play all three facets of the ball well. So we knew going into the game that we'd be in for a battle. I know they graduated some kids last year too, and we were both a little young in some parts, but I think we knew it would be a physical game, from both sides. The Stone brought it tonight, and they brought a physical brand of football, and a good brand of football that they do, that Coach Friel puts on over there.
One more before we'll let you go, Coach. Obviously, you guys, the Post has you one of the favorites in the SMAC. Obviously, I think you're expecting your team to be very, very good this year. How do you feel your team fits in the pecking order, not just in your conference, but maybe in the state as a whole?
We take it one at a time. We really tell the kids all the time. It's one rep at a time, one play at a time, one day at a time. And that's really what it is. We always tell them when we preach to have light at the end of the tunnel. Have your goals set. Look forward. We want to be a top program in the 4A. And that's a goal. And that's our light at the end of the tunnel. But you can't get there unless you're, day by day, giving that effort, trying to get better each and every day. You can't get there just by stating that you want to be there.
Well, Coach Petre, obviously your squad taking that first step today, a nice win tonight, knocking off Thomas Stone 9-6. Again, head coach of the North Point Eagles, Tom Petre, thanks so much for joining us.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Tom Petre, again, the head coach of the North Point Eagles, getting the big win tonight over rival Thomas Stone. And again, we talked about some of these coaches starting the season off with really tough games. And boy, it seems like the ones that get that win are just sky high and ready to take on the rest of the season. The ones who don't, a little bit tougher for them to go ahead and move things on. We're going to take another quick break. We'll be back. We'll hear from the head coach of the Falls Church Jaguars, Said Aziz. Also, we'll run you down the scores one more time. Stay tuned for every single bit of it. You're listening to The Final Drive here on DMVSTREAM.com. Looking for some of the best barbecue in the area? Well, then come on down to Monk's. Monk's Barbecue has all your favorites. Delicious pulled pork, tender, moist brisket, and dry rubbed ribs that just fall off the bone, as well as specialty items like pulled chicken, pastrami, and Kansas City burnt ends. Add in delicious sides like Monk's special baked beans, smoked Gouda mac and cheese, vinegar coleslaw, and many more, and you can't get any better. That's Monk's Barbecue in the heart of Loudoun County, online at monksq.com. That's monks and the letter Q.com. And go to their Facebook page to find out more about their live music and drinks.
DMVSTREAM.com produces live broadcasts for professional, semi-pro, and amateur sporting events, as well as colleges, universities, high schools, AAU, and youth tournaments in the Mid-Atlantic. With a client list that includes ESPN, The Washington Post, Monumental Sports Network, CBS.com, USAFootball.com, USLacrosse.org, NCAA.com, the National Federation of High School Sports, and Georgetown University, among others, Synthesis Multimedia has emerged as the Mid-Atlantic's top provider of sports multimedia. Contact us today to learn more about streaming your events live.
Are you a fan of high school sports? Does high school sports attract the type of customers you want for your business? If so, then consider advertising here on The Final Drive. The Final Drive on DMVStream.com is a weekly show dedicated to high school football in the District, Maryland, and Virginia. We update scores and talk to the movers and shakers from Friday night's top games, and we preview the big matchups from Saturday's action. So consider being a part of The Final Drive. For more information about advertising on The Final Drive, contact Jeremy Huber at jrh0001@gmail.com. That's jrh0001@gmail.com. Montgomery Shade and Awning is a third-generation family business that sells and installs shade systems utilizing awnings and canopies. They specialize in both commercial and residential awnings and have been serving Northern Virginia since 1975. So check out what Rob, Lewis, Brian, and Tom can do for you. Montgomery Shade and Awning. Call 1-800-300-1941 or find them online at montgomeryawning.com. And welcome back into The Final Drive, and we're basically in the 2-minute drill at the end. We're kind of winding things down here on the show, but still got a lot coming up. Remember, we'll hear from Falls Church head coach Said Aziz in just a bit, but stay tuned. We're going to go ahead and run you down all the scores that we have right now. We're going to pass them along to you right here on The Final Drive. Remember, if you want to get in touch with us, do it at DMV Stream on Twitter with the hashtag DMV Final Drive. Again, that's DMV Stream on Twitter. Hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. So let's start off at the very tip top. Number 1, DeMatha in action tomorrow. They'll take on American Heritage, a 7 p.m. kickoff. Number 2, Good Counsel. They fell tonight 36-29 in overtime, though the Falcons did force overtime after going down 22-0 at the half. Wise with a 19-6 upset over number 3 Douglas. Number 4 Northwest over Gaithersburg 27-0. On Thursday night, number 5 Westfield beat Washington Lee 30-10. Number 10 Quince Orchard, they fall to number 6 Damascus 39-17 as Damascus running back Jake Funk had 257 on the ground and 4 touchdowns. Number 7 Bullis at Mount St. Joe's tomorrow at 1 p.m. kickoff. Number 8 St. John's hosts Spalding tomorrow at 2 p.m. Number 9, Hilton beats Osborne 35-13. Number 11, Lake Braddock, big over Lee, 69-0. Number 12, Old Mill over Severna Park, 63-0. Number 13, Stonebridge beat McLean 42-6. It was number 14, South County over number 19, Briar Woods, 47-28. Number 15, Riverdale Baptist beat Eleanor Roosevelt 38-16. Number 16, Duval, they take on C.H. Flowers tomorrow. Number 17, Centerville beats Annandale 27-17. Number 18, Tuscarora over Loudoun County 27-0 in a game called by lightning. Number 20, H.D. Woodson fell to St. Mary's Riken 49-21. Let's get you to your privates and DC, also your charter schools. Avalon fell to St. Peter's 28-14. Benedictine big over John Paul the Great 52-7. Bishop Ireton beat Nansemond and Suffolk 27-6. Georgetown Prep over Paul the Sixth 37-0. It was Woodbury Forest knocking off McNamara 37-18. Pilati beat Sidwell Friends 40-6. St. Christopher's over St. Stephen St. Agnes 23-3. Also, an interesting one as St. John's Catholic Prep and Annapolis Area Christian finished up in a 30-all tie due to daylight. They may continue on that one. They may not. There was still some questions about that earlier in the day. Cesar Chavez over National Collegiate 26-24. Blue beat Bell 38-18. St. Mary's of Annapolis over Dunbar of Baltimore 46-12. Friendship Collegiate over Anacostia 36-6. Landon big over High Point 42-6. Gonzaga routs McKinley 58-0. Also tonight, it was John Champ of Loudoun over Spring Mills of West Virginia 22-0. Wilson bounces back as they beat Yorktown 51-22. Over in Maryland, Annapolis, big over Meade and a bit of an upset 42-12. Marriott's Ridge beats Atherton 6-0. Sherwood, big over BCC, 47-6. Friendly knocks off Bladensburg, 31-12. Calvert over Northern, 20-7. Chesapeake over Lansdowne, 38-0. It was Clarksburg over Churchill, 27-8. Northeast beats Crossland, 21-0. Richard Montgomery over Einstein, 34-7. Poly beats Fairmont Heights, 40-6. Arundel big over Glen Burnie, 57-22. Oakland Mills over Glenelg, 40-27. Hammond beat Centennial 40-0. It was Wooten over Kennedy 30-7. That one was delayed for a while, though I think that one is over now. Chopticon, they go ahead and beat La Plata 53-0. Lackey over Leonardtown 18-6. Largo beats Laurel 18-12. Longreach over Mount Hebron 12-6. Great Mills knocks off McDonough 13-7. Northwestern over North County 39-0. Blair over Northwood 48-3. Paint Branch beats Whitman 46-7. Patuxent over Huntingtown 39-6. Seneca Valley over Poolsville 41-13. Howard beats Reservoir 14-6. Walter Johnson and Rockville, that one lightning issues. They'll resume it tomorrow at 11 a.m. South River over Broadneck 20-17. Southern beats Rising Sun 35-19. Springbrook over Blake 30-22. North Point over Thomas Stone 9-6. Heard from the head coach of North Point earlier, Thomas Petre, about his team's big win. Watkins Mill leads Frederick 26-0. They'll finish that one up tomorrow at 1 p.m. Westlake over St. Charles 12-7. Bowie beats Westminster 54-21. Wild Lake over River Hill 33-16. Over in Virginia, Battlefield beats Garfield 46-14. Brentsville over William Monroe 12-9 in overtime. Broad Run beats Wakefield 40-6. Potomac Falls edges Dominion 7-6. Chantilly over W.T. Woodson 31-14. Heritage beats Fauquier 21-6. Woodgrove over Liberty 35-7. Loudon Valley over Rockridge 41-14. Oakton edges Madison 31-25. Clark County over Manassas Park 46-8. Mountain View over Osborne Park 49-14. James Wood over Park View 32-20. Forest Park over Patriot 54-6. It was Freedom of Woodbridge over Potomac of Virginia 27-20. West Springfield beats Robinson 35-28 behind a big game from Peter Musket. 5 total touchdowns, including the game winner for the Spartans QB. South Lakes big over Marshall 52-8. It was Mount Vernon over Stewart 39-16. TC Williams big over Jefferson 65-0. It was Turner Ashby over Riverside of Loudon 33-0. That one called in the second quarter due to lightning. Woodbridge over Stafford 43-6. Also some action on Thursday night. Hayfield beat Edison 21-0. It was Fairfax over Herndon 22-0. it was West Potomac beating Langley 41-28. George Mason beat Rappahannock County 55-0. And Falls Church taking on a squad from the district as they beat Eastern 49-6. Earlier today, I had a chance to catch up with the head coach of the Jaguars, Said Aziz, and talk to him about that matchup and his program in general. Coach Aziz, obviously, nice way to start the season last night, the win over Eastern. Talk about what your team was able to do against maybe an unfamiliar opponent in the Ramblers.
Eastern, I've watched Eastern on film before, and, they're very athletic, and they have a big play capability. So it was important for us to set the tone of the game and not let their athletes get the best of us. So all week we emphasized on scoring first, getting ahead on them, getting out physicaling them, and flying to the football and pretty much shutting them down, because we knew that if we got up 2 or 3 touchdowns on them, it'll be way out of reach for them. But also we also knew that if we kept them in the game like 14-14 in the third or fourth quarter, that it might be a long night for us.
Yeah, of course, they had a nice performance against Ballou in their first half before Ballou kind of wore them down. Obviously, getting out in front of them, important. Your kind of triplets you got there, and Adrian Collins, your quarterback, Anthony Crutchfield, your running back, and Connor Stevens, your wide receiver, all had pretty good nights last night. Talk about what they were able to do.
I think that we were lucky because they Eastern had a multiple amount of athletes. They probably had like 6-7 athletes, but we have 3 athletes that are complete, and our 3 athletes were better than their multiple athletes. And you're a good coach when you keep the ball in your athletes' hands, and that's what we did. And we got our guys the football, and they made plays, and I hope they continue to make plays throughout the season.
Talk a little bit about your defense. Obviously, holding a team to 6 points, anybody, but a school like Eastern that has some explosiveness to hold them down like that. How were you able to do that?
The thing is, we want to out physical them first. I think the physicality part really helped kind of shake them up, and then after that, we just brought some pressure in from the weak side. And early on, one of our corners got ejected from the game. So we had to throw a young corner in there. Like a school like Eastern, you have a young corner in there, they're gonna take advantage of it. So what we did is we just had our one older corner play their best receiver, and we moved our younger corner to the weak side, and I think it really helped us and flying to the football. And flying to the football usually neutralizes teams that are really, really fast, because it takes back their big play ability and their cutback ability offensively.
Coach, we talked a little bit yesterday before your matchup, and I kind of asked you, I said, this matchup against Eastern, kind of an interesting one in the sense that, you don't see a lot of times teams going over the state borders. Virginia's playing your DCs. It doesn't happen that much. Any reason why you kind of had such an interesting little matchup here between you guys and Eastern?
Well, Yorktown has done it for years. They play at DC school, and with the new conferences and everything, teams like TJ and Marshall and Lee, these used to be our out of district games. Well, now they're our conference games. And I was seeing the trend where I didn't want to, open up against Centerville or Chantilly or Westfield. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I didn't want our season to start out like that. So I wouldn't mind playing them, but I don't want to open up with them in the first game. I want to get the kinks out. And I was like, you know what? It'd be pretty cool if we had a DC. We played a DC school that is pretty successful, kind of like we are. And kind of like get the kinks out. And that's what we I thought that's what we accomplished last night. I didn't want to go into, like, for example, next week we play Potomac Falls, but I don't want to play Potomac Falls first. I want to play a team. I want to play a team that is not going to hurt us physically, will make us play better athletically. At the same time, we can fix a lot of our errors.
Yeah, obviously a good decision by you considering the score and the way your team played. A lot of good decisions on your part lately as you've brought this program along from where it was with, winless seasons now to being a regular playoff type team. Can you talk a little bit about what you're able to do to kind of move this thing along at Falls Church and make this into a winning program?
Yeah, Jeremy, I really appreciate it. It kind of makes me feel giddy inside when I hear people talk about how we've come along. It's important that we've had the same staff here since I started, and they're all teachers, So I think teachers make incredible coaches because you have to break down football schemes, kind of like you do in the classroom, and also the relationship you build with the kids. You see these kids, especially our kids, we see them a lot more than their families do, and they look up to you and they buy into you. Our kids, if I told them to, run to that brick wall over there, they won't even question it. They'll do it. And I think, football, high school football is not about X's and O's. It is a little bit, but if you get those kids to kind of buy into, what you're selling and believe in your program, they want to be successful. At the end of the day, high school kids are high school kids. And if you can motivate them, then you can get them to do whatever you want them to do.
Most definitely you're showing that this year, the way your team has played. Obviously, you guys are seen maybe as the number 2 squad projected, maybe behind Wakefield in the way you kind of breaks things down. Talk a little about your conference race and where you think your Jaguars fit in.
Well, it's funny, the Wakefield quarterback is actually one of my really, really good friends. Wakefield coach is one of my really, really good friends. Him and I played college football together. I was the center, and he was the quarterback at Shenandoah. So we've been very, very tight. And I think that, I agree with you. Wakefield is the team. They have more starters returning than us. And another dark horse team, I think, in our conference is Marshall. They're an upcoming team, and they have some good coaches, good players. So they're another team that we need to watch out for in our conference. But I think Wakefield is kind of the top team in our conference, and they set the measuring stick for us.
Yeah, and obviously it's a measuring stick that you guys are looking to get to, but you've done a pretty good job of it so far. Said Aziz, head coach of the Falls Church Jaguars, congratulations on the opening win, and thanks for joining us.
I appreciate it, sir. Thank you.
Caught up with Coach Aziz earlier today, talked about his team's big Thursday night win against the Eastern Ramblers, of course, in an interesting matchup. Well, again, we managed to do it. A little bit of overtime here on the final drive. Let's go ahead and wrap things up. 2 late scores just in. Liberty of Maryland beats Severn 17-7, while Brook Point shuts out Stonewall Jackson 39-0. Also, we ran down for you earlier. We'll do it again right now. The games tomorrow, in case you're interested in checking out a game out in the area. Early on, it'll be 2 noontime starts. Potomac School will be at Randolph-Macon, while it'll be Magruder hosting Wheaton. Elsewhere, in a 1 o'clock start, it'll be a Bullis, number 7 in the area, taking on Mount St. Joe's. Carroll will take on Surrattsville also at 1. 2 o'clock starts for Suitland and Gwynn Park. Also Parkdale versus Central. Potomac of Maryland versus Oxon Hill. Spalding at number 8, St. John's at 2. Coolidge and Forestville also 2 o'clock starts. Kip and Seed, they'll face off at 3 at Seed. Duval comes in number 16 in the area. They'll take on C.H. Flowers in a 7 o'clock game. Just got some word in via Twitter that it's actually a 6 o'clock start tomorrow for DeMatha and American Heritage of Florida. That one on the road, though. I believe DeMatha providing a video feed if you want to watch that contest. Thanks again to all our guests tonight. It was another jam-packed show. So blessed to be able to go ahead and bring you this one. You just heard from Said Aziz of Falls Church, also Tom Petre of North Point High School, Wise's head coach DeLawn Parrish, and also Damascus football coach Eric Wallich. Again, all big wins for those coaches. Congratulations to them and their players. We'll see it next time. That's next Friday, 10:30 Eastern, here on The Final Drive here on DMVSTREAM.com.